We're gonna do a song that you never heard before. The volume.
Hear the drummer get wicked. Here we go again.
Hey, it's Kennedy, my brother from another mother.
What's good, bro?
Hey, we on week was it week 3 now with Felon 47? What's new?
I told you I can't comment on nothing, bro.
Uh,
It's too. Here's the thing. The reason why I say that, bro, it's entirely too much like legal red tape stuff going on right now with the government that you know I work for him technically, and so
hmm.
it's just one of those things like that's I can't have any. I ain't trying to have no recorded stuff of nothing, anything that they can use against me to be like, oh, we need to let him go because he's not a part of the agenda. So I'm being honest, bro. Like that they're literally sending. We get emails every day about stuff, and yeah. So I ain't even touching it because my thing is I gotta survive for 4 years, bro.
And I think that the one thing that I believe to be funny about it is that it's like the one thing that I tell you this, I can tell you that the TikTok old algorithm seems to be back, right? Because before, what happened, man, is that when TikTok left, when it was banned for that day or whatever, came back, it didn't have that TikTok feel to it, right? And so now, what's funny about it is that now that the TikTok is back, right? You get all the updates, right? And I find the thing I think that's very funny to me is that all of these bipartisan votes voted to ban TikTok. And what I think is funny is that even with that said, all of the politicians have a TikTok page. So I'm watching Elizabeth Warren recently on her TikTok talk about this is what these particular things mean to the American people. I saw everybody has one, right? And I'm just blown away that how could you from a bipartisan. That means that a sweeping the government can agree on the people can agree on everything, right? Can't agree on nothing, but can agree on TikTok. But then fast forward, now everybody has their own to
No,
push
no,
their
no.
narratives and agendas, though, man.
Right, but I think the difference, right? It wasn't so much that people were wanted to ban TikTok. They didn't want who owned TikTok to own it because it was connected to the Chinese, and they were saying that you have to give so many permissions within your phone that now is in the hands of China. So they're saying that was what they were more so trying to ban up against was the ownership of who was owning it because of the amount of information that is shared and presented with inside of it. That was my understanding
Mm.
anyway.
It's interesting because even with that said, why do so many politicians have a TikTok page then?
Again, it's not about TikTok. It's about who owned it.
It's either way. Either I understand that it's about who owns it, but my thing is that if you voted sweepingly to ban it,
To
then
ban
before
it
and after.
until no, to ban it to before it to get sold, not to
No,
just
I get
ban it.
that. No, I understand that. I understand that. What I'm saying is this: leading up to the vote, all these politicians basically had a TikTok page before
Okay.
the
So,
vote,
so let
right?
me answer that question. So
So so so even after the ban, right? Now and they still have regained using their TikTok page. I get what you said, but my thing is that I understand what you mean by saying, "Oh, it's to do the sale, all that other stuff, though, right?" But my point is that you still are using the same TikTok app and platform that anybody else is using. When it's convenient for you to push whatever narrative and agenda you want or point you're trying to get by, but you want to, in a landslide, vote to get rid of it. Get out of my face.
okay. So to answer your question, it's not okay. So when it comes to TikTok, TikTok is still TikTok, meaning it is the leading social media app to to disseminate information. So, as a politician, it's going to be helpful to reach most of the American people because that's what most American people are using. So, as a politician, if you're trying to quote unquote have an agenda or whatever for whatever you're trying to use it for to get information from point A to point B, if you want your message out there, that's going to be the platform to use it. So that's one separate thing. But when you're talking about banning it, there was a reason for the ban, and it was because of who owned it. So regardless of whether it's gone or it's come back, it's still the leading informational system out there to use because more traditional media is fading. More people are looking at TikTok or Facebook, and some people even getting off of X just because of who's running that. So it's like they're trying to stay on all of these platforms that have the most amount of traffic so that they can get their message out there. So I don't see it as I don't see it as backtracking because again, the point of coming together to ban it was because of the fact of not the information that's presented, not the dance, not the dances, not none of that stuff, the information we use it for. It was simply because of the ownership of it, and that's a different country. That was mainly it.
Let's get that music going, bro. We got some things to talk about.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast.
If you
of all
smell
time.
what the rock. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The greatest podcast of all time.
And listen, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the Slash Brothers YouTube and Facebook pages. We are live on both platforms at the same time. Whenever you click on the notification, you click on the bell, you get the heads up whenever your boys are doing their thing. Ace Kennedy. Hey, I got a question for you, bro. Kind of like another in the wee hours of the night. Myles Garrett asked for a trade from the Browns. Well, where do you see him going?
I can see him trying to push himself to a contender.
Mhm.
You know, maybe going to Washington. I could see him, you know, maybe if Jerry can't work out a deal with Micah Parsons, maybe he'll want to go to the Cowboys. I don't know. I mean, but I can see him trying to join the Eagles. I can see him trying to join, you know, the Chiefs. Again, I think he's probably trying to go to a contender. He probably knows that look, it's getting close, and I got to try to win something if I'm, you know, if I'm gonna make that move because he's gotten paid, and I'm sure he still wants a payday, but he also wants that opportunity to at least play in the Super Bowl before he retires. That's my read on it. I didn't really like I saw it come across my phone, but I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't really nothing that moved the needle for me. But I would assume that would be what it would be.
I'm gonna tell you this. I think that it's a huge deal. The reason why it moved the needle for me was because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was top 2 or 3 in sacks this year. He's been top 2 or 3 in sacks for like the last 5 years. If I'm not mistaken, just a year ago, he won Defensive Player of the Year. And so I think that the one thing that is very interesting is that he got his money. And I think that with all things equal, he's looking around and he's seeing all these new guys, these new quarterbacks, and these other teams getting it right. Like you said, the Washington Redskins that came out of nowhere. The Texans came out of nowhere. And the whole time he's been out there in Cleveland, they've been trying to figure things out. And I think that the homie just seems to have lost faith in their ownership and the front office. And I think that for him, I think that he's already making pretty good money. And I don't think that it's at all about trying to find a bigger contract. I think that it's really him just saying, nah, I need to go ahead and get on up out of here though, man. And I think it's very rare that for one you get somebody who's so at the peak asking for a trade in the NFL, but also somebody who's still not far removed from defensive player of the year though, man. So I think that what's funny is that I do think that he should have lots of suitors. I do think that the Redskins make sense because I mean, I looked at the Redskins defense,
The
and
command.
I think that they got a lot of holes out there, and they already traded their best defensive player last year to the Bears. So I can see them going there. Um, to be honest, I can see him going to the Texans, right? I can see that work. I think if I'm Cleveland, of course, then I'm thinking like I don't want to help a team in my division, so I send them to the NFC. So I think that it was a pretty significant thing because I think that he moves the needle. To me, it's unfortunate that some of the best edge rushers play for teams where you don't get an opportunity to see them perform on that platform. So you see, like T.J. Watts is another one, lots of sacks, but don't get a chance to do it in on the big stage. And there's a couple guys that were like that. Khalil Mack was the same way when he was with the Bears, and even now that he's over with the Chargers. So I don't blame him though, man. Your career is very short lived at that position, so you got to get it when you can though. When that window's there, so I don't know.
No, no,
Be
I
good.
definitely think he does move the needle. I said it didn't move the needle for me. Like it wasn't.
Mm.
What I'm saying, I was more interested in the other trade talks than I was this one. Like when I saw it come across my phone, I saw it wasn't money, money motivated, and I was just kind of like, okay, like the Super Bowl ain't even happened yet. I ain't worried about where players trying to go at this point.
Well, let me ask you this though: in the wee hours of the night, I get a text message about 12:30 from you, and it says Luka to the Lakers, Luka for AD. And listen, I had just, I didn't even check your message at 12. I was asleep by then, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that by then I had already rolled it in for the night. I think that I was just like, okay, well, listen, I actually was even up late. I think I may have went to bed maybe 11:30 until right after I go to bed, I get this message. Ace Kennedy, what do you make of this trade, bro?
Well, I got the message. Deuce hit me up, and when he hit me up, I didn't even believe him. Yeah, I ain't even believe him, bro. I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Nah, it's on Bleacher Report and Shams." So I was like, once he said those two sources, then I was like, "All right, let me go check it out." And sure enough, even Shams was like, "Nah, this is real, bro." He said his phone was going bananas. He said he had like 300 missed new text messages. His phone was just ringing, ringing, ringing. He was responding to people from his computer because his phone was basically malfunctioning from all the activity. But the answer to your question, as far as like what does this? It's a great trade for both parties involved. Um, because obviously we probably won't know for quite a while what the actual issue was, why the Mavericks wanted to get rid of him. Of course, we're hearing the rumors about him, not ever being in shape, and they talking about I've even heard a rumor that Luka was messing around with the owner's wife, and he his conduct, and he has a team around him, like how Russ Russell Wilson has team 3 around, and just all the different things you basically trying to disrupt this man's character, and those things, why you would want to get rid of a franchise player who's 25 years old that just took you to the finals last year. But at the same time, I'm talking about when the dust settles, and if you just really like forget the accolades, because of course you're gonna try to compare apples to oranges and different things like that. But I'm just saying, for the individual players, it's good for Luka to go to the Lakers. He get a fresh start. They're gonna try to build around him, obviously. He is gonna be the future of the Lakers. They want him there. There's an organization that wants you there. He's at the biggest spotlight there is, and he's playing with the best player in the world, still at the age of 40. And then Anthony Davis is going to a situation where he gets to play the four. He's playing with an experienced point guard. He's playing with one of his really close friends in Kyrie Irving. And he has other people around him that he can do what he needs to do. So he's also at a position to where he can be a true contender in the West. And I don't know that even though the Lakers were playing well, I don't know that if they didn't construct something differently around LeBron and him, I don't know that they would have been trying to compete for a championship the way he has an opportunity to compete for a championship in Dallas. And if remaining healthy, can compete for a little while. We obviously have a rivalry with them with the Thunder, but I think Dallas is proving that they are trying to get people around that wants to play defense, that that are big, that can shoot. Like, they're putting together a well-rounded team. Everybody's trying to model themselves after the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I think in the end of the day, it's a great trade for both organizations. I just think it was kind of whack on how it came about because nobody knew about it outside of the two owners of the team and the general managers of the team. The coaches didn't know, the players didn't know. Before they announced it, they got phone calls and text messages and letting them know what was about to go down. But the deal had been going on for 3 weeks. It started with a coffee, and the deal had been in the works for 3 weeks.
Hey, Skidden,
Yes, sir.
are there any players then who are safe? Like, who's untouchable then at this point? I know that Brad Beal and LeBron James are the only players in the league that have no trade clauses. And it seems like the Suns don't want Brad Beal. But you'd like to think that when a player this early into his 20s, when they sign that extension, that second max extension, right? That if they're still on the team, that surely now the third max, the time they're eligible, right? That they're untouchable. You can have anybody on my roster except this person. So who are the untouchables left
You talk about in the league who's
in the
untouchables?
league? Who are the untouchables?
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, untouchable. Um, I can't even say Kevin Durant because there's trade rumors around him right now. Seems like Devin Booker's untouchable. LeBron James untouchable. Obviously, he has a no trade clause, but even if he didn't have it, untouchable.
If Luka got traded,
Mm-hmm.
do you think the Suns wouldn't trade Devin Booker?
I don't, because this was an organizational mess up. This isn't a league. This isn't like, oh, the league is fixing to start doing this. You and I have talked for several podcasts about how organizations do people and why certain players act the way they act to try to get their way. You would hope that business would go like what would happen with De'Aaron Fox, right? Where he declined to sign an extension twice, once last year, once this year. And so then he said, listen, I would prefer to go to San Antonio. And guess what? It happened. It was a smooth transition. They got the other teams involved, and it was a swift, smooth transition because
And San Antonio apparently wanted him to.
right. And San Antonio
Right.
had some things. They said, listen, these are the people we're not willing to give up. And again, they made it happen. And on top of that, the Kings got compensated pretty well because they got Levine, right? But the thing was that at least the star relayed to his organization that I don't plan to resign. And here's the preferred destination that I would be willing to sign an extension to. So other teams, I wouldn't advise you to try to get me because this is the destination I want to. I want to play with this person. And it was a smooth transition. You would hope that the league could do that because it's taking care of both parties. This kind of sparked once Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City and left us high and dry, right? That kind of started the process of trying to for stars to try to give their organizations a heads up. Like, listen, I don't plan to be here, and free agency is coming up. So I'm just saying I would like to do this. That's all I'm gonna say, right?
I got a question for you though.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is this saying about Luka, and what does this say about AD?
What it says about Luka is that the organization wasn't rocking with him outside of Mark Cuban, right? Because if the owner, even because the coffee started with the GMs, right? So it had from that point, you got to bring the owners involved. So if I'm the owner, I'm like, Hell no, I ain't getting rid of Luka. What are you talking about? Like, and even if you're saying, well, we can get Anthony Davis in the process, no disrespect to AD. I think AD is great. He's been playing great. He's not, even when he's getting hurt, he's not out for long periods of time. He's been trying to get back as soon as possible, whatever the case may be. But Anthony Davis also was brought to the Lakers to be the next person that they were passing the torch to. And he wasn't living up to that because he was still playing under LeBron James. So but again, here's another organization that wanted him. Like they were willing. So if I'm AD, I'm like, bro, they were willing to give up that for me. I got to repay that some kind of way. But there's hurt on both ends. Luka was hurt. I'm sure AD was hurt. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, it's best for both organizations that they both got people that they wanted.
Let me tell you something, bro. Let me tell you this. I'm gonna keep it a stack with you, bro. You know what this tells me, bro. And I don't want to. I'm just gonna cut. I'm gonna cut straight to the chase. I think, bro. At the end of the day, I think that I've been right about Luka, and I've been a harsh Luka critic. I
You
have
have.
been.
Yep.
But I think that this confirms that I'm right about Luka. By that I mean this. Luka gives me James Harden vibes, bro. Like he gives me the kind of vibes to where Luka's style of play isn't conducive to winning championships. Not just the lack of defense. The lack of defense just puts it over the top, puts that take over the top for me, right? Because to me, there's no way that you can tell me in a scenario that my best player doesn't have to play defense, but you want me to bust my tail, right? That's to me, and I'm not saying that your best player has to go out there and win Defensive Player of the Year, right? But I think that he still should be willing, right? Nobody ever brags about the Joker's defense, right? But he's willing, right? Even if he's getting his head smacked around, he's still willing to stand up there, right? But I think that when your guy doesn't make an attempt at all, and it's just Olay defense, you can't have there's no incentive for anybody because that sets the tone. But I think that the other part to me, when I say that I was right about Luka, I say this all the time, bro. In the history of the NBA, it is hard to win championships with score first point guards, right? And everybody tries to say, well, Steph Curry. And I'm like, Steph is basically a shooting guard, right? And he's not tasked to be the facilitator, the playmaker. He's a scorer, he's a finisher. So I'm saying that when you're saying, and it's not just Luka, talk about all the score first players. Like the assists are different, bro. The assists, when I'm saying Trey Young's assists are different from Chris Paul's assist, all right? James Harden's assists now are different from the 10 assists that he had when he was at the Rockets. They're just different assists, though, bro. And I think that as long as you have a score first point guard, I don't care what team it is. It does not work. And history has told me that. But I think more than anything, bro, I think that the Mavs looked at Luka, and at the end of the day, of all the points that Luka scored, I think that they looked and says, we won't win the championship with Luka. We won't win the championship with that person and that style of play, though, bro. And I could be, like I said, I could be wrong. And even when he goes to the Lakers, bro, I don't think that the Lakers will win with him. I think that him and LeBron will put up some great highlights. They wasn't gonna. It's a win-win because the Mavs read through the line like your boy. They was watching the podcast and heard what I said, and they took heed and they got rid of him. But then AD goes to a better situation, and they emphasize we play a defense now. I think that even the Lakers, they had to recognize we ain't winning no time soon with AD and LeBron. So let's just go ahead and try something different. And I don't think that Luka's a bad option for them. But what I am saying is that as long as Luka plays the way that he plays, no one's gonna win a championship with him.
Okay.
No.
So let me ask you this question. If that's the case, then how did they make it to the finals, NBA finals? Because
Okay.
what I'm saying, here's hold on. Let me finish my question.
Okay.
Because let's not get it twisted. I think Boston was clearly the best team in the NBA last year, right? This
Right.
year they look beatable. Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
saying I think that barring, let's say if what I'm saying is the way that Dallas was playing last year, if they were playing the Boston of this year, then I think they would have beat them. But obviously that's, you can play that at any turn on, but I'm just saying, to your point, I feel like Dallas finally found a way to put people around Luka that they were able to be successful if they were able to make it to the NBA finals.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. All right. I think that this is the way I look at it. I think that the only way that it works, right, is that on every game, right? This is going to sound impossible, but on every game, Luka has to have an equal show up every game, right? And people will say, well, how is that Luka's fault that somebody else doesn't show up to be the equal? The next person who you would think on their team to be his equal would likely be Kyrie Irving, right? But he's a ball dominant person as well. So you can't have your some. So this is you know what I think. This is the where this is why I think that Shea is so underrated, right? Because I think that Shea can give you 30, 40. You was at the game when he dropped 54 and you didn't even know he dropped 54. Somebody had to tell you that he dropped 54, right? And I think that where it makes a difference is that it's effortless. It doesn't take a lot of him having the ball to put up these 30 points. And I think that you can never have another successful, really equal to Luka 30 points when it matters because I think that he just required his style of play. And so when you say how did they get there, I think that don't get me wrong, there was some matchups that he was able to take advantage of and everything. But I'm talking about when it matters, though, bro. When it absolutely matters the most. I think in the end, bro, you gotta have it to where somebody can be his equal, but someone has the ball as much. And I think that's just what it is to me, though, bro. I think that don't get me wrong. I thought that they I thought that they would lose to the Wolves, right? But I thought the reason why they would lose to Minnesota was because, to be honest with you, I thought that Minnesota would have whoever was guarding Luka was going to make Luka work, right? But I think that as bad as Luka's defense was, nobody really tried to exploit Luka. Nobody actually went at Luka like that. So I think that, but where it differed with Boston is they couldn't hide him no more. They couldn't hide his defense, his lack of defensive effort no more, like every other team, because Boston had everybody who was going to lay the smackdown on them, bro. So that's why I think that it showed up. But I just think that in the end, it's just a bad recipe for winning when you got score first point guard who doesn't play defense, though, bro.
Okay, let me ask you this. Two questions. Number one, out of the two franchises, who won? Number two, if you were would you have done this deal?
Okay, so I think that this is the way I look at it. I think that let me just take a step back before we talk about that, before I answer that question. Because right? Shea is a point guard,
Mhm.
right? And Shea is a score first point guard, right? I'm willing to bet that if 18 that OKC would be the first team that would have a score first point guard win a championship. And the reason why I say that is because I think that Oklahoma is just built differently. I think that because they're homegrown and they're built, I think that the way Shea plays, right, it makes the other players better, right? It allows J Dub to be J Dub. It allows everybody to be who they are naturally. And I don't think that that happens with Luke, right? So here's what I think. But to answer your question, because I had to get that out of there because I was thinking about Shea. Um, Here's the thing. In the end, if you check, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. If I'm a Luke, if I be hating on Luka, I do. So just to be consistent, I'm gonna say I think the Mavs won it, bro. And here's the reason why I think the Mavs won it. I think that to be honest, you would have to tell me that do the Mavs have a better chance to win a championship in the next 3 years than the Lakers do in the next 6 years? Do you think that because the Lakers are going to have to do a complete rebuild, right? Within 6 years, LeBron's going to be gone within two. So Luka's going to still be there. And let's just say that that means that it's going to be Luka's team and a bunch of whoever else you surround him with. I don't think that Luka's going to change his style of play. It's going to emphasize, if anything, it's going to make him more of who he is. And so I think that to me, if you thought as the Mavs that you wasn't going to ever win a championship with him, then you've done yourself a favor by you ridded yourself with that. And I think that if the Mavs win a championship in the next 3 years, I think that the Mavs would have won that deal because I don't think that they was going to win with Luka. And I don't think that they were going to get back there this year with Luka. I'm willing to even say that if the Mavs just got back to the finals, right, that's a win to me over the Luka deal. I think that if they get back to the finals this year, then it was worth them trading Luka, though, bro.
Okay, let me ask you this though. This is the real question. You said you was keeping it a stack. Do you really think that the Mavs got rid of Luka because of basketball stuff or off the court stuff?
I think, bro, it's both. Here's what I mean by that. I think that there's no way that it can't be both. If this man did take you to a final, right? He just took you to a final. He still had money on the current contract, right? And so I think that it was some of both. I do think that, listen, I do think that it was something that the boy is coming back 165, 170. There was a rumor. You talk about rumors, right? There was a rumor that the last time Luka was out and they said he was out because of his wrist. They basically said they had that boy out for about 10 games to go lose some weight. He was fat. What Stephen A said about Zion, you look fat. If you take Luka, if Luka took his shirt off out here, bro, you would be like, ain't no way in hell, bro. Ace Kennedy, man.
Should New Orleans take a page out of Dallas's book, bro, and go ahead and cut ties with their boy Zion?
I don't see they're not gonna listen. They're not gonna win nothing with Zion, bro. So yes, New Orleans should do that because here's my thing about it. Don't get me wrong. Zion to me is one of the biggest anomalies I've seen because while I don't think that they're gonna win a championship anytime soon with him, when he plays, they do look like a night and day team. But I think that my thing is this though: there should be no reason why I'm paying someone $200 million and they're fat. Like I think like no, listen, money only makes you more of the person who you are. So if you say, well, now think about that, right? Zion was fat wasn't an issue. His money, and then he got fat. Like Luka has always been kind of chubby. He signed his extension, and now he doesn't have any incentive. He's like, I could get these buckets either way. It's like you're injured so often that at some point people are going to think, well, you're injured because you don't take care of your body like that. And I just can't sit here and look at LeBron James, who's 40 years old, who's in phenomenal shape, and give you any reason why you shouldn't. And I think that it's both. I think that it is style of play. And I think at some point, it's like I see Shannon Sharp say something all the time that teams will tolerate your behavior until they find a replacement, until there's a viable option. And I think that it's the only time I remember in NBA where an all NBA player has been traded for another all NBA player. I don't think that the Mavs are out on this though, bro. I think the Mavs won the deal long term and short term. I think that they wasn't going to win long term with Luka. Let's say AD, if he can't get it done in 3 years, you're going to have to at some point rebuild, and it starts your rebuild over. And yeah, Luka's going to go out to LA, and I think he'll average 30 some points for the rest of his career, whatever. I don't think that he's going to win a championship because history tells me that that's not how you win a championship, bro.
Okay, so one question for you, but I got a statement first. I would love to hear what Dirk Nowitzki and Mark Cuban have to say about this trade. I would love to hear what both of them have to say.
Well, listen, they traded Steve Nash, and Steve Nash went on to be an MVP. So then that Mark Cuban did that, or then they I don't know if they traded, they let him walk or something like that. So Mark Cuban doesn't have that much room to speak, though, bro.
I mean, I know, but I
He's
still
done
just
it
love to
before.
hear. I would love to hear his what he does. Hey, is this the reason why Rick Carlisle left, bro?
Listen, Rick Carlisle they offered him the contract. They 2 times they offered him contract extension. He said, "Nah, I'm good." And I don't listen, bro. I don't. You never know, right? Because here's the one thing you can't say: if there really are off the court issues, they've kind of had this thing bubble wrap really nicely. Because I've never heard anything. I just can only you can only read in between the lines, right? So you never heard anything that's been factual put out there. But you can look at Luka and be like, bruh, I know you might be hooping in the off season, right? But how is you coming back fat, bro? How is you come? Hey, Kennedy, how can you come back and be so good and be fat still, bro? Like I don't like. I remember back in the 90s, right? In the 80s, guys would come out of shape to camp, and you use the camp in the season to get you in shape by all-star break, and that's it, though, bro. That's cool. But I think that the big thing is to me is that long term, you can't sustain that though, bro. Like, no, I don't. I think the Mavs won, bro. But I'm gonna be consistent because I be hating on them, so I might as well go ahead and ride that on out, though, bro. I think the Mavs won, and not just because of that. It's because they got AD, and if you're in win now mode, I think you're the Mavs, and you have a 3-year window left of AD being able to give you what he's giving you now. And yeah, I think that it's all they have to do. They don't even have to win it to me. All they have to do is get back to the finals within 3 years, and it would have been worth it to me. Now, I do think that it's jacked up that this whole thing costed Luka $116 million that he will no longer have because he won't be eligible for the super duper max. And listen, bro, they have to be so frustrated that didn't even matter, bro. Like they had to really be like, so what? I don't care. Like think about that though, man. You'd have been with this dude for that long, and you think at some point, he's part of. Nah, they was like, it don't matter, bro. It don't even matter.
And they asked him about it at the press conference. Like, was you ever, or you anybody in your team ever going to deny the supermax? And he was like, not at all. Like, not at all.
It does. Now here's the thing about it. It does make me almost walk back my comments about Jimmy Butler acting up. Because here's the thing about it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan about how Jimmy is going about everything. But at the same time, he's just like, all right, listen, if you're not gonna sign me, then trade me. Or there's no reason for me to come. And there's the not showing up for practice, there's the leaving practices, and he's basically being disruptive on purposely so that they'll go ahead and get him up out of there, right? I think that if Luka is just sitting back, probably having a beer, doing, getting fat, same thing he's usually been doing, ready to come back, and you sit here getting traded after you done just had dinner and a beer, right? You thinking everything is copacetic and it's regular, and then you find out in the wee hours of the night that you done got traded and you didn't make any demand. And all you done just bought a crib out here in Dallas, so you got roots now, right? And they trade you anyway. And at that point, it's like, All right, well, Jimmy Butler, I can't be so mad if you want to act a fool. If that's how you want to have your career in your hands to prevent something like that, then I guess I'm not as mad at Jimmy. It's not. I would have loved for him to do it the De'Aaron Fox way, but at the same time, it worked out for De'Aaron Fox. Um, but at the same time, Luka was just an innocent bystander. AD was innocent bystander. So it's like if the franchise is going to do what's in their best interest, then I guess I don't have any problem with the players doing the same thing.
Right. Well, the latest on that particular trade, anyway, the Jimmy Butler trade. Right now, it's a 3-team discussion between the Warriors, the Suns, and the Heat, to where Jimmy would go to the Suns and then Wiggins would go to the Heat. That's the proposed thing right now. So,
and where would Bill go? To Miami?
It doesn't even say anything about, not unless it's in the text. I mean, I can't. Let's see here. Unable to find a landing spot for Bradley Beal because of his salary.
Hey, listen, man. That boy has an albatross of a contract, boy. He listen, and this is the bad part about it. Bradley Beal's good, bro. I just don't. This is the thing. Maybe it's because I can't figure out. Okay, so Bradley Beal and Devin Booker does the same things, right? That's the reason why it doesn't work in Phoenix. But I think that if you need a solid number two, you would. I don't see why. Like I think that Brad Beal.
Let me ask you this question: Would you, if you would you rather have Bradley Beal or Klay Thompson right now? Forget the money.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, I would rather. Okay. That's a good question. That's a damn good question. I'm gonna say I would rather have Brad Beal right now, but I think in the playoffs you're gonna want to have Klay Thompson.
Okay.
I think that you'd want to have Brad Beal right now because Brad Beal's a live body. He's fresh. He's on go. And I think that Klay Thompson still is still getting over his injury and everything like that. Like I think next year he'll look way better. But I think if we're talking about right now, I would probably have to say Brad Beal. I think Brad Beal is a bucket, dude. And I think that you just have to put him as your number two guy. And then I think that he'll be straight. So I think that he would work in Golden State, right? I think he would look like Brad Beal in Miami, right? As a guy, as long as he's not your number one option, I think that he'll be straight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey man, shifting on a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not watch the Grammys, but of course I've heard several different things. Of course, I did catch Kanye and his wife. What you think about the Grammys and all the knickknacks and theatrics?
And listen, man, why does Kanye? I would love to know why does Kanye want us to see his wife being naked so much? Like he is he has been trying so like he wants to. I had a whole sidebar conversation, right? Because somebody said that it was like a mind thing. It's all of that is really a dig to Kim Kardashian. Like it's a form of control that he is putting out there, right? It's almost like everything is a sub to Kim K from him though, right? Because she does kind of resemble Kim, right? And at the same time, she kind of has the body that Kim had before, right? And so she's younger than Kim though, right? And so I would love to ask him, like, bro, why do you want us to see your girl's body so badly, bro? That's one thing. It was a matter of time before complete nudity came. It was just the next thing and the next step in the evolution. I did see a lot of the Grammys though, bro. And listen, one of the things that I'm always blown away by is that I think that for me, especially when the Grammys come out, I'm typically in artist mode a lot. So I'm usually not aware of a lot of the music that's out because I'm usually mixing music, listening to music, writing music, producing. So it's like when the Grammys come out, it's a good opportunity for me to see artists that I've never didn't hear a single song from and everything like that. So I thought that was one of the things that was real cool. I think that the second thing that I thought was real dope is that I was glad to see Doechii win. I'm not gonna lie, I was late on the Doechii train, but when I got hold to it, I'm there. I'm a big fan of Doechii, bro. And so I think that so I absolutely love I like her performance. I like listen. I think Doechii is going to be the quintessential female rapper, bro. I think that here's what I think. I think that Doechii has a combination of everything, right? I think that she has the performance of Doja Cat. She has the bars of Nicki. She has the showmanship of Meg The Stallion and Cardi B. And I think that, to be honest with you, the only thing that she doesn't have is that genuine ratchetness that everybody likes about Glorilla. But I think outside of that, I think that Doechii can be the one because she got them bars that like a Rhapsody might have. By the way, I was glad to see Rhapsody finally won a Grammy. So the Doechii was it. And listen, bro, we two other things. Beyonce winning, right? First black artist to win a country music album. That's what I do wonder. Does it mean more to her? That would it have mean more to her to win the CMA than the Grammy for that album, country music?
See, that's what you and I were having that discussion, and you said you were leaning more towards her being. She would probably have liked to win the CMA more, and think I think well because then you're saying you're accepted by the
By the
people.
peoples.
Yeah, I personally think the Grammy again. I would say the Grammy just because that's recognized by your peer, like everybody, right?
Right.
And but does it feel like a consolation prize because you didn't win the CMA? I can understand why that, but I will say this, right? I've seen more people upset about her winning the Grammy, like they put that over the CMA. So, like, I think the outrage was going to be there regardless.
I agree. But I do think here's the thing about it. It would be like this. It would be like to me, this is why I think that she didn't win the CMA. Regardless of if the album, if she won a Grammy for, that means that it is a stellar album, right? So let's just say quantity, quality, everything like that. It's up par. It's up par. I mean, it's up there on par. But I think that it would be like if Miley Cyrus won best R&B album. She put out an R&B album and she wins it at the BET Awards, right? Or if Miley rapped and she won best rap album at the Source Awards or the BET, the Hip Hop Awards. It's like that. It's like regardless of you putting the album out, you're putting this one on now for this subculture of people, right? This people, and you at least want it to be accepted by them. So I think that I honestly believe though that it's country, right? And I do believe that there's a certain level of appreciation that I think that she would have had that she put out a country album and the CMAs accepted this as one of theirs. And yes, we'll go ahead and you can get this album of the year. Not just saying we just gonna give it to you as like a consolation or yeah, we appreciate the attempt. It's just I think that if she would have won the CMAs, I think that it would have been genuine acceptance from that particular targeted audience. Whereas too, I think that the Grammy winning is more from the musicianship behind it, the album and everything like that. I don't think that it was the culture movement and acceptance from that genre that I think that she would have gotten by winning the CMA though. But
See,
I loved it though.
here's the thing. I love it too, but I also understand the outrage because
Sure.
yeah. So my thing is I am okay, but this is the part that I don't like. When people say, "Why did she win country?" That wasn't even a country album. And then I ask you, "Did you listen to it?" No. Well, then how you gonna say it's not country if you ain't listen to it? Like that's a whole different thing. But if you're like, I can understand the gatekeeping of what you feel like is yours. I understand that because Macklemore ain't put out a rap album since he won rap, whatever he won. He's been
He
so.
won over Kendrick and Jay-Z.
That's what I'm saying, and we lost it because of that, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, why can't it can't be? It can't. You can't. We can't have it both ways to where it's like, well, that's Beyonce. She ought to be able. No, I mean, I understand why they probably feel the same way because we felt a certain way about. I mean, even as good as what's my boy that played in the new White Men Can't Jump. Uh,
Jack Harlow.
People get upset with him sometimes.
I do sometimes still.
That's what I'm saying. So I can't be
I do.
upset. I can't be upset with people being upset that she won for a genre that, like, it's
I think
weird.
that it's different. I think that it's different because Jack Harlow is a rapper, right? He isn't like a singer. He isn't a pop singer. He isn't like Post Malone. He is a rapper, right? He's a white rapper, and I think that that's different. I do. I get what you're
I don't
saying.
think it's
I
different because I feel like even with Macklemore, right? He's a rapper. I'm saying I think that we feel some type of way that you have basically infiltrated our culture, and you are spitting on everybody else that's been doing this, that's been here, that's grinded and done this, and you come and put your little spin on it, and now you win like that. They feel some. So what I'm saying is, I can't be upset if they feel like that belongs to them, and Beyonce is trying to come and
I
again,
feel that. I do.
yeah,
I understand that completely because
right.
it would be almost like Andre 3000 doing the whole Wind Flute album, and then there's a whole people who that's all they do, and Andre 3000 come in and win Grammys from
Classical
this, and
album of
it's
the
like,
year or something.
yeah. So I get that. But here's one thing. Here's the thing that I thought that was like the most mind blowing thing that I thought of the Grammys is Kendrick Lamar winning, sweeping. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I think so crazy of it. Because imagine this though, bro, right? Imagine that the Grammys being considered the pinnacle of the pen, the pinnacle achievement of which greatness is measured by a lot of people. It's the pinnacle of musicianship. It's the pinnacle of composition, right? And someone wins the album of the year, song of the year, video of the year, because they basically are telling the world that they think you a PDF out here, though, right? And outside of that, everybody there, and you got to think if everybody's there, these are fellow musicians. So these are people who are technically your peers. They are just chucking it up while he is winning because everybody is rooting for him for a song where he is telling people. And what got me the most is when he won and they played the song and the timing. The timing was he dapped the people on up. First verse is still going and everything. And trying to strike a chord, and the whole crowd says, and it's probably A minor. And then listen, I immediately thought, you can't, when he's trying to sue Universal, and because they're pumping the song, it's so much of an organic. I was telling Neat this yesterday that I think the last time I remember a song being so universally accepted in hip hop probably was, and when I say universal, I mean that it's anywhere you go, some people know some of the song, right? I think it had to be 50 Cent in the club, bro. Because I remember when In the Club came out, I know some of everybody who was a casual fan of hip hop, everyone knew. And I think that Not Like Us is probably the biggest single that I can think of since then, though, bro.
Yeah, but just think what's gonna happen on Super Bowl.
Yes, and that's the thing I think that's the craziest to me. It's like I understand that you were trying to sue these people, but bro, like the Grammy 13,000 people voted, right? And that's the thing about it. This isn't like a Billboard award or you know what I'm saying, one of those kind of things. This is the Grammy Association, right? So 13,000 writers and voters submitted this, right? So if it's a popularity contest, I understand that the Billboards typically are, American Music Awards typically are. But bro, like that means that your peers think that he smashed you on this song, though, bro. And it's just, I thought that boy Drake had to be sick, bro. He got to be somewhere sick. That forever, it's etched in the history books that this man won a Grammy from a diss record where he is telling everybody in the world that he think you a PDF, bro.
Yeah.
Him and Ack are sick somewhere. What you got
Be
going on for the week, man? Yeah.
Listen, man. Your boy's getting ready. Obviously, the news is out that I'll be singing the national anthem on Monday for the Thunder. So I'm just trying to rest up for that, trying to, going over the song in my head, got the outfit picked out. And other than that, celebrate my baby. Charlie gonna be 9 this weekend, and then it's the Super Bowl weekend, and then of course right after that is the national anthem. So yeah, just celebrating her, and that's about it, man. Because this is why I say that. Why people is like, why you gotta be resting your voice this early? Because what happens with my voice is change of weather causes me to flare up. It was 77 degrees yesterday. It's 37 degrees today. That's the type of weather that will get me sick. So that's the reason. What about you?
Yeah. Man, I'm back in the lab. I was pretty excited though, man. I was in the lab earlier today though, man. Got a chance to work on some bank. These are all beats that I think are keepers, by the way, right? So I've been dabbling and getting some recording done. Got these. I'm talking about like these. I'm gonna have to send you all of these tracks because I think that they are tracks that immediately as soon as you hear them, I hear songs to them, right? And I'm trying my best to not just keep these away because all the partners say that I be stashing away these. These are all 10, bro, that I'm pretty close to stashing for myself though, bro. So I'm pretty excited though, man, that I'm back in there, and I got a couple songs that I'm looking to do final recordings for this week. So yeah, it's gonna be a real studio heavy week for me though, man.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah.
Well, look, man, from ATL to OKC, we thank y'all for rocking with the boys. We are the Slash Brothers, and we'll see y'all next time.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast.
Can you dig it, sucker?